Hi, this is Marion Douglas, and as many of you know, I am an entrepreneur and life coach. And welcome to part 6 of From Tragedy to Triumph. And so we were talking about how it is that you can actually create an income around things that you love to do. Well, that's kind of an understatement, because I actually created income around tragedy, and it went down like this. After the first few attempts I had at creating a business, all of which failed miserably, and in the process I spent all of my money. And so not only was my money spent, but I was extremely discouraged. And so the only thing that I knew for sure was that I wasn't going to quit. And somewhere in the 11th hour of that, and we're going to talk a little bit about nick of time kinds of miracles that happen, but somewhere in the nick of time, I got out of the clear blue sky, I got a call from a person that I worked with at American Express. And he asked me how were things going, because he hadn't seen me around for a while. And my gut feeling, the first thing that went off in my brain was to say fine. After I thought about it for a second, I said, no, things are not going fine. I am struggling mightily. And so he asked me out to dinner anyway. I said, oh, okay. So we went to dinner, and he asked me again, how are things going? And I told him things are not going good. You know, I went into business for myself, and this is what happened. And I told him pretty much the story that I told you about what happened to Joy and I, and how it ended up, and what actually made me make the decision to go into business for myself. And I told him that I had made a lot of mistakes and lost money, but that I had this opportunity in front of me to work with a guy who was very successful at business and understood all the problems that I had and how it is that I screwed it up. But I didn't have the money to pay him, because coaches and mentors are not cheap. So after telling him the story of what happened, the most surprising thing I could ever think of was that he actually pulled out his checkbook and offered to pay for 6 months of coaching with Michael Gerber. And I was like totally astounded that the story that I told, from the place that I told it, a place of complete honesty and authenticity, was what was valuable to him. And so he actually gave me the money to work with Michael Gerber and to learn the things that I didn't know that I didn't know. And so for the next 6 months, I made good on my promise to do exactly that with the money that he gave me. And I worked with Michael Gerber, and I was diligent, and I was open, and I was coachable, and I worked like a banshee in order to make the business work. I was so good at it that I became one of his best students, and before long, people were asking me a lot of questions about how it is that they could create what it was that I created. I started to do seminars, and people were paying me some very good money just to do these seminars and tell them a little bit about how it is that this whole thing happened, and what it is that I did and was doing in order to create the kind of business that I had created. Now, it didn't make any difference what kind of business it was. I'm not going into that, because it's not important. What's important is how the business ran and what it created, the results that came from it. So those results came from it because of the systemization of the business and what I had learned from Michael Gerber. And of course, my own hard work and willingness to be open and coachable to the things that he was telling me. And it took me 6 months to learn all of that. And up until then, I had spent an awful lot of time and money and just wasted it, not knowing what it was I was supposed to do, or what I was supposed to do next, what it was supposed to look like, or anything. So my coaching to you is, if you don't believe that it can be done, that's part of the problem. And I just stumbled into it. But from that point, I understood that there were a lot of things about me that was really valuable to other people. And once I learned how to take that and turn it into a business and create a system that would have it create results consistently, then my life started to change, and so did my income. So That's my coaching for you today. Get out of your head about it. Get the things done that are important to you. Get clear about what it is that you can do. Take an inventory of what it is that you actually have at your disposal right now. Because where we're starting from is wherever you're at.